Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about the new Liam Neeson thriller, The Commuter. This film has the same director as Nonstop, The Shallows, Unknown. He's worked with Liam Neeson more than once at this point, clearly. I think his name is Galam Colette Sorin, something along that line. But in this film, The Commuter, guys, Liam Neeson plays I think a life insurance agent of some kind, and every day when he goes to work, he has to take this really long train that gets him to and from work. He knows a lot of people on this train as he's going to work, and it's one of those things where once he boards the train, he can he knows people's names and all that kind of stuff. He's really respected at his job. He has a lot of clients, and there's something that happens to him at work one day that I can't get into too much detail on, that really makes Liam Neeson real. That makes Liam Neeson realize that his family really needs much more money than what they have for his son to go to school and to pay off their house and all this other stuff that financially is going on with him, that he needs more money to be able to pursue those things. Um, but eventually, one day, he's coming home from work, and he encounters this woman played by Vera Farmiga, and she basically pitches this hypothetical situation that they're just kind of conversing with each other on this train, and it involves Liam Neeson getting a large sum of money for doing a really simple thing for her. And it's one of those hypothetical things where it almost seems too good to be true. Liam Neeson just kind of blows it off for a second, but then he realizes he has to go to the bathroom, the very place that Vera Farmiga's character tells him where all this money is located. So he eventually does take the money because there actually is money there, like she said. And he's starting to realize that if he wants to keep this money, he has to go through with this really weird situation that he wants her to go through, or that she wants him to go through. And it involves planting a chip of some kind, like this small little tracker chip, on somebody in this train. And he's given a name that isn't this person's real name, but it's kind of like a hint to him of who to look for and kind of what kind of bag to look for. She gave him all these little hints and stuff as she set up the situation for him. But as the situation progresses and as Liam Neeson realizes he kind of doesn't want to go through with this, he just wants to be able to keep this money. Um, More things happen on this train, more consequences happen to him after he realizes that by taking this money and he doesn't go through with what the objective is, with his mission, bad things are going to not only happen to him on this train, but other people on this train if he doesn't go through with his promise, now that he's taken this money through this hypothetical situation that this woman has offered to him. So overall, guys, I thought The Commuter was okay. I'm one of those people where when you worked with a certain person for a certain length of time, like this director and Liam Neeson, you would think by the third or fourth time, the films. Another film that they worked on together was Run All Night. I meant to bring that up earlier. You would think that by the fourth time they would really be able to nail it, that they would really be able to tell something different, do something really unique and really kind of master their craft with each other, of director and actor working together to really bring forth the best possible movie, or in this case, best possible thriller you can. And unfortunately, I really think that some of their collaborations they've had in the past happen to be better than what was pursued in this movie, unfortunately. But for my positives and negatives of The Commuter, I really like how The Commuter does try to have a contemporary Alfred Hitchcock vibe to the film. It really does try to maintain this feeling of the story being able to be told in any era or decade or day that it wants to be told in, because that's what Alfred Hitchcock did so well, is he told stories that you could tell in 1960, that you could tell in 2018, that you could tell in 1999. You can set any year that you want. You can make the situation just as relevant on that day and that year as you can now. And I think that's something that The Commuter does try, at least a little bit. Obviously, there's iPhones and all that kind of modern day stuff in this movie, of course, but it really does try to feel like a person who has to take a train every day to work was given the situation, a situation that many people from 1960 all the way till now would be tempted to take, and they go through with it, and they realize by taking this offer, they have to do something really bad in return. I think that that's something that this film at least attempts and pursues that I think is really good. I think that the contemporary Alfred Hitchcock vibe is a really nice approach for a movie like this. It doesn't completely succeed with this as you realize what's kind of really happening at the end of the movie and everything, but I do like how the film does try to go for that contemporary Alfred Hitchcock vibe. The film does also emphasize how important this form of transportation is to Liam Neeson's character, how he knows a lot of people on this train, he knows the employees, he knows all the people who ride the train every day, that by not taking this train he can't go to work, that there's just so many things factored into his life that are on this train, even before going into work and finishing up work for the day. That he realizes this more and more as the film progresses. So I think that's kind of a unique way to see this film, is just how important this transportation was to him, and that by going through with this really bad thing that this woman wants him to do, it kind of hurts his value in friendships and things that he's developed over the years with the people who ride this train every day and who work for this train service every day. So I do like how the film does emphasize that this form of transportation is very important to Liam Neeson's character, and that by going through with this bad thing, it might hurt this form of transportation for him for various reasons. I also like a lot of the non-train scenes in this film, and that's something I think this film could have done more with, is making scenes that aren't exactly on the train yet. I think they could have done a little bit more with that before the film puts Liam Neeson on the train and puts him in the situation and so forth. Because I really liked a lot of the stuff that happened before that. I saw a side of Liam Neeson he doesn't really pursue in films like this, like more of a family man side, and things going on with his kids and things going on with the wife. And by the time they board the train, you're given just enough to kind of feel for the family and want to support what they're doing and everything. But I really feel like there could have been more scenes that take place before this train and possibly after the train, because I feel like they were interesting and I kind of cared about those characters that were involved with those scenes. So when they were not on the train, I was really invested. I was really really invested in kind of what was going on with Liam Neeson's life and everything. So some of these non-train scenes I thought were really well made in this movie. This next one I can't talk about for too long because it is spoilers, but obviously, as usual, my reviews are always non-spoiler, as I always try to do. So I will be very careful with how I talk about this next one, so don't worry, I'm not spoiling anything. All I'm going to say is that the film's reveal and how it's set up I thought was very good. I thought it felt appropriate for this kind of film they were trying to make. Obviously, it's not the best reveal of all time. It's not like a Sixth Sense scenario or anything like that, obviously. But I do feel like that the reveal they went with and how they set it up, I thought, now that I know like what it is and I've seen the movie, I thought it felt appropriate for a film like this. I thought it felt... you can definitely tell that they thought about that as this film was made. So I thought that part of it was pretty good. Another positive thing I can say about this film is the film's occasional sense of humor and kind of its thinking moments where Liam Neeson's kind of, really thinking it through and narrowing down who he's looking for on this train and so forth. I thought everything regarding those two things are very good too, because there is small little sparks of humor every once in a while, and there is a lot of moments where Liam Neeson gets time to think about, what's really going on and who this potential person might be that he has to look for and everything. So I thought those moments are very good in this film as well. But for my negatives of The Commuter, I thought the ending of this film overall just doesn't add up so well. It's just one of those things where once you realize why certain characters were after certain objects, why certain people were doing certain things on this train while Liam Neeson went through with this thing that he said yes to, and there's just a lot of things that are brought up and happen on the train and all that kind of stuff that I really feel doesn't quite add up now that once you realize what's really going on and everything. So certain things about the ending I thought just didn't add up as well as I'm sure this filmmaker was hoping to do with this story, but that is one major complaint I have, is that the ending I thought didn't quite add up as well as it should have. There's also a lot of really cheesy action scenes in this film. Ones involving Liam Neeson trying to survive, falling off a train and jumping from train cart to train cart and everything like that. That happens in this later part of the movie that I can't get into too much detail on, but there's a lot of really cheesy action scenes in this film, just to warn all of you. They really don't look very real at all, just to warn you again. So yeah, just to warn you, there's a lot of really cheesy action scenes that just really don't feel very realistic at all. So I guess that's the best way to put it. Um, I would also say another complaint I have with this film that goes back to the whole Liam Neeson and this director working again for a fourth time. It really is nonstop, but with a different setting and in a less interesting setting, I would say. Because one thing I thought Nonstop did that this film didn't do is in Nonstop, when he's on that plane, it's very claustrophobic. He doesn't have a lot of space to work with. He has to figure out that situation in that movie with much more limited things that were available to him. And I thought in this film, The Commuter, he has a lot of open space. He has a lot of hiding places. He has people that he knows and trusts on this train that he knows are not going to rat him out for certain things and stuff like that. So I thought there's the overall tension and how it's set up and what Liam Neeson's character has to work with just didn't feel as tense and strong as, let's say, Nonstop did, where his resources are much more limited in that movie. So I thought the overall train setting just wasn't quite as interesting as the plane setting was in Nonstop. This film also has a very secondary feeling to it, and what I mean by that is there's really not an idea in this film that I was crazily in love with. There's just a lot of things where it's like they could have done this differently, and I would have liked that better. They could have done this thing differently, and I would have liked that better. They could have done this thing differently, and I think I would have liked that better. There is a better film that came to mind for me as I was leaving the theater that I realized that this film would have been way better if they went with some of those alternate directions. There is even I even brought it to a friend who I saw this movie with at the end of the movie. Like I brought up, if this person did this thing by the end of the movie, would that make the film better? He's like, yeah, that actually would have made more sense. So there's just a lot of things where it's just like the film they went with wasn't bad, but it felt very secondary. Like it's the second best choice. It's not the best choice, but it's the second best choice for what we could pursue for a film like this. So I thought that part of the film was a little disappointing too. And then for my last complaint of The Commuter, I thought some of the editing techniques and some of the special effects techniques were not very impressive in this movie. They're trying to show at the beginning of the film that this is like a routine schedule for Liam Neeson, and so they try to like make people move around faster, and he's kind of the only person casually moving around. And there's also a special effects technique where they're trying to show like all of Liam Neeson's options on this train, like for every cart and everything like that. There's just a lot of editing and special effects techniques that didn't completely win me over in this movie, unfortunately. But overall, I'm going to give The Commuter a 7.5 out of 10. There's a lot of things I like about it. I really like that Alfred Hitchcock contemporary vibe, like I explained earlier. But the ending doesn't add up so well. The action scenes feel very cheesy. It really is just kind of the film nonstop, but with a different scenario and setup and everything like that. It just has a lot of secondary feelings and secondary choices that I thought could have been better. And some of the editing and special effects techniques I think really could have been better. So 7.5 out of 10. I would say if you're really interested in this film, if you like what Liam Neeson and this director have done in the past, rent it at Redbox. It's not going to hurt you. I would say you don't have to run out to the theater to see this one. I don't think it's that big of a film. So I would say Redbox rental is probably the best way to go with this film if you really want to see it. So 7.5 out of 10. It's all right. I like it, but I have some problems with this movie.